Today marks the start of National Reconciliation Week and 6 months in power for the coalition government. But those events have been overshadowed by the government's attempt to patch up its relationship with Aboriginal Victorians. Community leaders say they were hurt and confused by a coalition decision to not always acknowledge traditional owners at official functions. Adding to the confusion, the Aboriginal Affairs Minister has told 7:30 Victoria there never was a change of policy and has denied the government said otherwise.
Tonight we're celebrating our proud warrior heritage.
I would like to start by paying my respect to my father and our ancestors, indeed all elders and ancestors that have gone before us.
This week, two of Australia's most influential institutions, the AFL and the National Gallery, celebrated the achievements of Aboriginal Australians. At the same time, the state government was repairing relations.
We will continue in good faith to do the traditional owner, to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, and we'll continue to do that. I'm not sure where this information came from, only to say that it was a very distracting issue at a very important time in the Indigenous community, and it's not helpful.
Just days before, this was the Baillieu government's strongest message yet on Aboriginal affairs, that the acknowledgement of traditional owners was sometimes tokenistic.
Shocked. I was baffled as to what is it all about. It made us feel sad. It made us feel why.
A lot of young people that work here, I've discussed it with them, and we just don't understand why they would all of a sudden bring this up.
The front page story and editorial were based on the idea that the Baillieu government was abandoning a Labor policy that ministers must pay respect to Aboriginal elders at official functions. Its message was confirmed by the Premier and senior ministers.
What's important is that they should not be formulaic. They need to be genuine and appropriate to the particular occasion.
I was absolutely amazed for a number of reasons. One, because it was never compulsory, so that was completely wrong. Secondly, that the government had really moved back, really taken a step backwards in terms of reconciliation.
The article was followed by comments from right-wing Liberal MP Bernie Finn, who described Aboriginal designs on the jumper worn by the Richmond Football Club as graffiti. And in the Bendigo Advertiser, Nationals MP Damien Drum compared Aboriginal Victorians to other immigrants. Are you concerned of the signs emanating from this government on Aboriginal affairs?
I am. Well, I wasn't until last week. We did have a good rapport with this current government, and it's something that we can build on. But not understanding why they've made an issue out of a non-issue is baffling me, and it does raise some concerns in my mind, yes.
The Aboriginal Affairs Minister, JEANETTE Powell, categorically denied the story came from or was confirmed by government.
I don't know why, who put that information out there or where it came from. I just know it didn't come from the government.
Do you accept then that that message, no matter where it came from, has caused hurt, distress and shock to the Aboriginal community?
There's absolutely no confusion that it has caused anxiety and probably some confusion in their minds as well, because they see it that the government has made this change to deliberately do this, and again the government did not. So I'm not sure who put that misinformation out at this critical time in the Aboriginal calendar, but it certainly was not the government.
Are you seeking to find out?
Well, I guess we could have a look at where it came from, but what would that prove?
The story may not have been instigated by the Baillieu government, but it was involved. A senior media advisor sent this statement to the Herald Sun, pointing out a change of policy. This week, Premier Ted Baillieu personally spoke to Aboriginal leaders to try and make amends.
Ted Baillieu's inclination is to govern from the centre of his government. So some of these more conservative signs might be an indication that he's conceding ground to the more conservative elements, both within the Liberal Party and the National Party.
And their messages are very clear. The damaging incident came as the government's also accused of attacking civil rights. This week in Parliament, it tried unsuccessfully to strip Victoria's Anti-Discrimination Commissioner of some of her powers. The proposed changes include limiting her ability to investigate discrimination.
We've indicated we're disappointed about some of those changes, but it's hard to actually tackle systemic discrimination. It can't be tackled by individual complaints. So having an investigation function, having a public inquiry function are some of the tools that are used to tackle those. With those being modified, we'll have to use what powers we have, and as I said, a significant part of the new law is really focusing on prevention. So we'll have to ramp up that side of things too.
Do you think that's fair on your office, to have to work within your means rather than giving you the powers that you'd like?
Well, at the end of the day, the Commission is a regulator and we work to the laws that the governments pass, and that's what we'll do. And a parliamentary committee is reviewing Victoria's Charter of Human Rights. Established by Labor 5 years ago, the new Attorney-General, Robert Clark, has previously said the Charter should be abolished.
So when you put those decisions together, perhaps what we're seeing is some elements of a conservative agenda coming through, and a government that was generally assumed that would be on the more social liberal end of the spectrum in terms of coalition governments. So I suppose that's the surprise, but we should also remind ourselves that this is a conservative government.